how proteins are used in medicine. And the first part is in diagnosis. So many diseases like heart disease, liver, kidney disease can be diagnosed by the presence of um, proteins in your blood that are normally there but happen to be there at higher concentrations. So if you have a higher concentration of creatine kinase or troponin, you may have had a heart attack. So when you have a heart attack, your heart cells heart cells are damaged, and then they're going to release a whole bunch of these proteins into your blood, and you'll be able to measure those. So creatine kinase is kind of cool protein. So it's responsible, catalyzes the reversible formation of creatine and ATP from phosphocreatine and ADP. More important than that, it's important in your muscle, brain, and heart and other cells because it consumes a great deal of energy. Now, let's talk about what it's made of. So there's two polypeptide chains, and they have a different primary structure depending if they are where they're found. So we'll call one chain M for muscle and the other one B for brain. And so your skeletal muscle has two M polypeptide chains. Your brain cells are going to have two um, B polypeptide chains. And then the one in your heart is going to have one polypeptide chain that's like a muscle and one that's like a brain, so MB. So you can distinguish these. This is all the same type of enzyme, but you can distinguish between, the skeletal muscles, the brain, and the heart because they have different types of polypeptide chains. Now, when you have a heart attack or um, when you have a heart attack, what happens? That MB, you can see those chains, it's going to start to increase in your blood within a few hours, and then after about a day, that's like it reaches its maximum level. Now, that is going to result from heart attack, but it can also be present when you have some skeletal muscle damage. So the presence of the CKMB does not by itself indicate that you had a heart attack. You'll have to use some other factors as well, medical history, results of your electrocardiograms. All of those are going to be taken into consideration. However, troponin, if you have elevated troponin in your blood, then that's a much better indicator. So troponin is a protein that binds to the muscle fibers and helps control the muscle contraction. It consists of three different polypeptide chains. Um, Troponin 1 has a primary structure in the heart muscle that's different than in your skeletal muscle. So it's going to be a little bit different. That'll be a much better indicator that a heart attack has taken place. Okay, let's look at how proteins are used in therapy. So we looked at diagnosis, now we can look at therapy. So these are some diseases that are treated using enzymes. You have different types of cancer, blood clotting disorders, genetic defects, inflammation, digestive problems, and kidney failure. We're just going to talk about leukemia and how you can treat it with asparaginase. So asparagine is an amino acid, and normal cells can synthesize all the asparagine that they need in order to manufacture the proteins. Leukemia, though, the leukemia cells cannot do that. They cannot synthesize the asparagine that they need to meet their needs, and so they have to take it from the blood supply. So you'll have some of these amino acids floating around in your blood. So what this drug does, and it's just an enzyme, so the asparaginase, it catalyzes the hydrolysis of the asparagine, turning it into aspartic acid and ammonia. So you're going to basically break down the supply. So you're getting rid of this here, the that amine group, and essentially making the asparagine in your blood like not accessible for the leukemia. So the leukemia, it starves them of that source of asparagine, and then the cancer cells are going to die because they need that to keep going. So you can administer this intravenously and with other chemo drugs. Like I said, they destroy the asparagine in the blood, and then it deprives the cancer cells of that nutrient. And the good part about it is that the injected asparagine can't pass through cell membranes, so the normal cells are not going to be affected. So the cells can still function, the healthy cells, the normal cells can still make their own asparagine, but the cancer cells are not going to be able to steal that amino acid from the blood. And then the only thing you have to watch out for are some allergic reactions. So patients undergoing this particular treatment have to be monitored because you are obtaining the asparaginase enzyme from the bacteria, from E. coli, and you can sometimes have allergic reactions. So that's just one example of how proteins are used in